What's up, y'all? And I have gotten so many DMs, comments from you guys about Africa, the continent. And most of you guys know that I am half Nigerian. So I'm all about people moving to Africa. If you do it correctly, you do it in the right way. Africa don't need you to save us, guys. We don't need it. But if you want to come and be a part of the continent and just build up and inspire and motivate and just be a part of this glorious, diverse continent, then come on, you guys are more than welcome. So, hey guys, hey, if this is your first time to my channel, my name is Jackie O, and I am an OG, original Black digital nomad and globetrotting mama. I have been crisscrossing the globe for the last 25 years. Yes, y'all, 25 years. That's why I'm an OG. And currently I slow travel full time with my toddler daughter, Ruth. And my whole channel is devoted to uplifting, inspiring, and teaching other Black women how to travel full time and or move abroad. So today we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about Ghana. I am interviewing a phenomenal woman. She is not only my Spelman sister, she is my mentor. I met her a long time ago when I was an itty bitty studying in Madrid, Spain. She mentored me, she motivated me, and I was able to reconnect with her when I was in Accra, Ghana. And so we're just going to talk about her story, her journey, and practical advice for each and every one of you who are interested in picking up, deucing out, and coming to the beautiful, glorious, and immensely diverse continent of Africa. So let's get into it. Jollof in Ghana might not be that great, but the people and the culture are phenomenal. Let's do it. What's up, O Squad? How is everyone doing? As most of you guys know, I have a daily gratitude practice where I just give thanks to the universe, a higher power, for everything that's magical in my life. And today, let me just tell y'all, I am so excited for this podcast slash vlog because this sister right here, one is my Spelman sister, two is my soror, but three is truly a Black woman doing the most. I am so proud of her. And guys, this woman, you know how you can say the stars are aligned, God puts people in your life for a reason. Christa came into my life, I believe when I was 19 or 20, and I was in Spain. Spain. And it's so funny because I remember telling my mom, I said, Mom, I met this phenomenal Black girl who I just want to model my life after. She just took me under her wing, showed me Madrid. She was just amazing. And then fast forward, and it's probably 20 years later, and I'm in line in Accra, Ghana, and this fabulously dressed sister with this amazing jewelry and hair,
hilarious.
Yeah, and starts asking me questions, and I'm like, wait, I know you. And it was her.
That was a moment.
Yes.
That was a moment in time I will never forget. Because I had to look at you kind of with the side eye, and then I looked at you again, and I said, wait, Syracuse University, study abroad, and I'm not going to say the year on this program because I don't want to date myself, but let's just say it was the late 90s, right?
Exactly.
And there was Jackie, and she was a student on that program. And at the time, what was I doing? I was the head of counseling for that program. So amazing to reconnect over all of these years and to still be connected right here.
Yep. I mean, and Christa, I just want to thank you because you are truly a beautiful person. You have remained a beautiful person. You definitely had an influence on my life in Spain and throughout. And I cannot say when I moved into West Africa, girl, because there's a curve, there's a learning curve.
Yes, there is.
And you just made it that much easier for my transition. And everybody who knows, my brother always teases me because he's like,
Yes.
why don't you just get back on the plane and just move to Accra because you're always there anyway.
You enjoyed Accra. Yes, I recall you enjoyed. I mean, look, there's nothing like West Africa, right? right? For
Absolutely.
so many reasons. So it was beautiful to reconnect on the continent.
Yes, it is.
Very special.
And you are there right now, which I think is
Yeah.
particularly in this time, right? When there's
Yeah.
Ghana just finished their year of the return. There are
Yes.
so many Black people in America who have done like DNA tests or just over
Sure.
like the United States and feel this calling to come
Yes.
back to West Africa. And some of them have, through their DNA results, find that they
Right.
have a connection, a DNA
Sure.
connection to Ghana. And I just want to hear about one, how did you get there? And then two, kind of what message would you have to them who are like, they want to come home, the good, the bad, the not so good.
Right, right. I mean, well, you know, I have been here for some time now. First of all, you're gonna make me date myself, Jackie. Anyway, I came here with the intention of staying 5 years. I turned around last year and I realized it's 15 years, and next month it's 16 years. So I have been here for a significant portion of my life. But my love and my passion for Ghana and the African continent dates back to 1999, when I first took a trip with my father, who's a university professor at Virginia Union University. So he's at a historically Black college at the seminary there. And he's been bringing groups of students who are studying religion, obviously, to Ghana and to Ethiopia since '93.
Wow.
So my first exposure to Ghana was a trip with him, with his graduate students. And let's just say at the moment, I was literally at the door of no return. I know that that may sound a bit dramatic, but it's just very true. I was at Elmina Castle, which is the oldest and largest slave dungeon in the world. I was there at the door of return and just looking at where, you know, the experience that our ancestors have been through and thinking through their great resilience and crossing the Middle Passage to get to the Americas. And I said to myself then and there, as I was literally weeping with that group, that this is a place I feel spiritually connected to. And at some point in my life, I want to return. I want to return not only for cultural connection, our roots. I mean, if you look at Ghana as a country and you look at the coast of West Africa, the majority of the slave castles in West Africa happen to be in Ghana. So there's probably a major link for many diasporans that we may come from Ghana. So I felt that spiritual connection. I said, I want to come home to that. But also if there's an opportunity to live here, to work, to study, I mean, this would be ideal. And fast forward a few years later, I found myself in that position and was fortunate and blessed on another trip to Ghana years later. And that was just more of a personal trip that I had taken to run into the first group of NYU, New York University students who were basically exploring Ghana with their professor on maybe, if you will, a 2-week, 3-week program. And we happened to be in the same hotel. And you know, me at the time, I looked very different. I had a big old afro. I had the red t-shirt that said Harlem. And I was with my Ghanaian boyfriend at the time who looked like sculpture. Can I say that on this video?
We don't censor.
And you know, the students were approaching me, asking who I was. It was clear I was not from Ghana, I guess, but they wanted to know. And the next thing I knew, because I've always had this in me, right? And maybe that also proves that I and we as a people come from West Africa. That entrepreneurial side of myself, I immediately took my business card out. I told the professor, the head of those students, I've always wanted to work for NYU. Well, what are you doing here? Tell me a little bit more about this group. And he said, well, believe it or not, NYU is about to open its first study abroad location on the African continent. That is semester year-long option. And is this of interest? And I said, well, absolutely, it's of interest. Here's my business card. And that was the beginning of a discussion. Now, fast forward a few weeks later, I returned to the United States. And over the next 9 months to almost a year, I was interviewing, going back and forth to New York, doing my own travel. And at the moment in which I had given up and said, oh, they're probably taking someone else for this position. The position was Associate Director of New York University, Ghana, or Accra at the time, right? I got the call and they said, we need you to be there. We're opening in a month. And I took my 2 little suitcases and went out leap of faith and got on that plane. And that's the story of how I got to Ghana. Now they told me, we want you to commit to 3, minimum of 3 years, maximum of 5, to help develop this study abroad program. And when I got to the 5th year, I mean, I was just loving Ghana. And there's so much, as you know, Jackie, to love about Ghana, from the history to the cultural connection to the nightlife to every aspect, to the entrepreneurial spirit. Yes, sculptures. Yes. Listen, I'm married now, so be careful. I can't talk too much about that. Yes, I was not married for a good 10 years that I was here. So yes, all of that and more was so appealing to me that when I entered the 5th year, I just couldn't leave. I was so captivated by the city and the country and the sub-region of West Africa, the bustling spirit of West Africans, just everything about it was just so beautiful for me that I said I wanted to stay. And I will tell you, after that 5th year, between the 5th and the 10th year, I kept saying, no, I got to return home. No, I got to go to the US. Or no, I want to go to another part of the world. And then what happened? I met somebody. Uh-oh. And I've always said I will never let a man define me. And I still stand on that right now. And I've never let that happen. But I'd like to say that I came here for a career, not for a relationship or anything like that, and that the relationship came later. So fast forward to 2015, which is just 5 years ago, I got married. After having been in a relationship for some time, I met a wonderful man, and we are now fully settled in Accra. We have a beautiful daughter named Sage, Elise, right? And, you know, he's an IT engineer and I am running a university. So I went from managing NYU and I stayed there for 10 years. It was my baby, along with the professor who was the academic director, Dr. Kosia Nidoho. And then I was essentially poached, I feel, in some ways, from NYU to come run Webster University, where I am right now. And that's an American university based in St. Louis that has campus presence across 4 continents and 10 countries. The latest of these countries is Uzbekistan, but we also have presence in, yes, in Asia and Europe, North America, and of course, this is our only location right now in Africa, where you can receive a US accredited degree, both undergraduate and graduate programs, and I'm in charge of it. So I've had career progression in this period. Sometimes people think you go abroad, will the career opportunities be the same? Is it possible to be successful overseas and here in Ghana? And yes, it is. At least it has been for me. I've been very blessed, but I've also worked very hard for it. And now I'm running the institution. I'm going to share with you that out of 10 campuses around the world, I'm the only Black woman running a campus of Webster overseas. And that's a very exciting opportunity. And it is also very, very challenging. And I've enjoyed it because it started as a baby and I have the opportunity, just like with NYU, to really grow this program. But this is a full-fledged university, similar to the NYU Abu Dhabi model and the NYU Shanghai model. I don't know if you're familiar or your audience is familiar with those campuses where you actually get a US accredited degree in 4 years for undergrad and 14 months for grad. And that's what I'm in charge of. That's what I'm doing today.
I think that's amazing that you tell people that, Christa, because people sometimes don't even think about, like, I could actually go to a US accredited institution overseas and on the continent of Africa.
Yes. Yes.
Led by a Black woman.
Yes. In fact, building upon the year of return, which was very, very successful. So I'm sure your audience already knows about the year of return, but it was the opportunity to return and connect to our roots, right? And so that was very successful. And now we're in the year beyond the return, which is about investment into Ghana, into the continent, if you will. And so this is a great time to be here, to be in Africa. We always talk about Africa rising. It has been rising for very, very many years now, but it's at its peak, I believe. Now, it's unfortunate we have COVID, but we're still managing as best as we can. And I welcome everyone to try to look into the opportunities. There are so many to come here and to make a life for yourself.
Oh, Christa, thank you for so much for that, that introduction, but it was more
Was that an introduction? Oh my goodness.
Girl, you gave the most, but like, I want the most. So that was so, I mean, it just inspires so many people. And you've been in Ghana now for close to 15, 16 years, right?
Yes,
so you've
right.
seen the changes. And
yes.
What advice would you give someone who is just sitting at their home, watching YouTube,
right.
or listen to this podcast and wants to make the first steps to making it happen?
Well, I think that you have to be ambitious. You've got to put fear aside and know that there's nothing that you can accomplish if you are passionate and you want to make it happen. We can do anything we put our minds to. So first of all, you have to have that type of attitude and perspective. Another thing is that you have to research very well where you're going, what the opportunities are. So for Ghana, for example, there are a number of different websites I would recommend. We have Accra Expat, we have the Ahaspora website, we have Black Noir, for travelers. I'm sure you all know all about that. Let me see, I think I wrote down a few. There's something called internations.org. There are a lot of these, culturetrip.com. I mean, they give a lot of information, useful information for relocating to a country like Ghana, but also their job postings. So for me, I have to admit, although my entire life, I believe I've been viewed as someone who's not conservative. As I get older, I become a little more conservative, right? And so what I would say at this stage in my life for anyone who wants to do this, have a plan. Be passionate, but have a plan. Do your research, save up some money. Do not come over to a country like this without a good amount of savings. And hopefully a job prospect right in front of you. So for me, I've done it a little, perhaps non-traditionally. When I came here all these years back, I first had the NYU job. So I was interested in coming over and working for an entity that is already very well established, being able to have some of the benefits that we have in the US, for example, namely health insurance is very important. I wanted a global health insurance in case of anything. And we have very good hospitals and clinics and doctors here, by the way, but it's still important to have a good health insurance. I wanted to have a competitive salary. I wanted to be able to contribute to Social Security and all those things. That opportunity was provided to me through working for an American university. And then fortunately, when I came to Webster, the same applied. Remember, when you come as an expat, if you will, typically these packages also would include, hopefully, some housing, some transportation, flight tickets, and so on and so forth. So if you can set something up like this, for me, I'm being a bit conservative, but I think that's ideal because then there's less stress that is involved in that type of arrangement. But there are plenty of people, and I'd say more often than not, the individual that I know, most of them are entrepreneurs. So they come over here, they set up their own businesses. I mean, the sky is the limit because a lot of things haven't been tried out or sampled here before. And so really the world is your oyster in a country like Ghana. There's a lot of things and the market is eager to try new things or things that are already developed in the West. You can bring them here with an African twist or a diaspora twist, and it becomes very, very attractive. So I think that there's a lot of ways to go about this, but definitely, Ghana, people think, well, you're coming to Africa, so it's cheap.
Yes.
Well, if you're living in a city like Accra,
Yeah.
that is not true. It's one of the most expensive cities in Africa. And so with housing and so on and so forth, it depends on how you want to live also. So there's a wide range, but I would suggest that you have some savings just as a backup in case of anything.
Yeah. And Chris,
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that, because people do, when they think about Africa, the continent, they think
Right.
it's so cheap. And I've even been looking at a lot of videos on YouTube in regards to moving back to Africa, and people are saying, oh, you can get this wonderful place for like 300, 400 a month. And I'm like, where?
Well, here's the thing. You can get those places, but they're far out of the city. So if you're okay with a 45 minutes hour commute, then fine. Or if you want to live in the city and you want to rough it a bit and live in a one-room space, in a communal sort of housing environment where there's shared bathrooms and things like that in the city, I think that's feasible. But I don't think most people necessarily want that experience when you're looking at living a place long-term. I've done it all, and I'm sure you have, Jackie, as well. I mean, you and I have been blessed, as many of your members of your audience, to probably have traveled to many places. I counted the other day, and I'm not boasting, but I am boasting. I've been to 85 countries. I went and I actually counted it. I really have, and I've seen a lot of the world, and so I know what it is to stay in a place. The cheapest place I've ever stayed in was 75 cents a night.
Oh, you beat me. You beat me. Look.
Okay, and that was in Nicaragua. I've also stayed in a place for $2 a night in Nairobi with no roofing. You know, I mean, it depends what you want. There's many options. Even in Ghana, I'm sure you can find places that would be similar. But for living, you need to be a bit comfortable as well, because you're going to be working, you're going to have a life.
I need a comfortable bed at this point.
Yeah, comfortable bed. And then look, you haven't thought about, or people may not consider if they haven't been here, we don't have Lagos traffic, but we do have Accra traffic. Right. And so it's a lot. So when you're going through the hustle and bustle of a major city, which is what Accra is, when you come home at night, you need a haven you can walk into. So housing is a consideration, but some of the websites I just mentioned do list a number of properties that you can rent. And there's plenty of affordable options as well.
And then Accra is similar to Lagos in the sense that you usually have to pay your rent a year in advance, or no?
Yes, yes. But nowadays, you know, the real estate market, I should say, has plummeted a bit. You look at COVID, you look at the economy, you look at the world, the way things are going. I mean, people need affordable options. So there is a huge development of affordable properties now, townhouses and other things that you'll see even for sale, for purchase. That's beginning to come up a lot in Ghana. So, I mean, there are many options. You can now also pay in 6-month installments. I've heard of people who've paid in quarterly installments. That wasn't like that when I first came. When I first came, they wanted 2 years rent in advance, right? And that's why a lot of expatriates, if you get a good contract, they'll pay your housing, because most people don't have X thousand number of dollars. And look, rents are in dollars, people. They're not in the local currency, right? And so most people, unless you have an incredible amount of savings, wouldn't be able to put that kind of deposit. So you don't have to necessarily do a year. You may be able to negotiate 6 months. And that's the beauty of West Africa. This is the world of negotiation. And I've learned negotiation skills better than a Nigerian. When I've been in Nigeria, sorry, Jackie, when I've been in Nigeria, they say, oh, are you an Igbo? Are you a... Because West Africa has taught me the power of negotiation. And that is something we're very good at in this part of the world. It's also taught me patience, because you got to be patient to live here. Not everything goes as you would plan or envision. And time may be of essence in the US, but time is endless in our part of the world. So you have to be patient.
All my questions, like you're acting like I gave you a script and like you're getting all my questions because
Okay.
I to stop trying to fight it. Like stop expecting people to be on time. Stop expecting like when I like somebody said it would take a week to do something and realize it's gonna take 2 months. Like after I stop fighting that, it's like okay, like no wahala, like as Nigerians say.
Yes, of course. No wahala. We say it here too. Right. Yes.
Really is. No, and that was actually gonna be my next question. Just talking about a little bit more about like culture shock and getting over the fact that because I think a lot of people it takes them a minute to realize like you ain't in America no more. Like,
no, you're not. Right.
Like and the fact that like
there's an adjustment.
Yes,
there's an adjustment that takes place.
Everything's going to work like it is in America. Like sometimes you're not going to have power. Like
like sometimes you're not. Listen, sometimes you're not going to have water for days.
Yes.
I mean, even in my situation, where I'll admit I've been blessed. I have a beautiful house. It's in a nice sort of neighborhood with diplomatic missions. I mean, I've worked to a point where I'm able to afford this type of situation. All of last week, we didn't have electricity. We had 4 days without electricity. Now, of course, we had a generator, but when I first moved to Ghana, I remember, I mean, Jackie, you're gonna laugh at this. And for those of you who've traveled to Africa and to the developing world, you'll also probably laugh. But I moved into my first little apartment when I was working for NYU. And I remember the exact night, maybe about a month into living in this apartment in a place called Asylum down in Accra, which is pretty much in central Accra. And the lights went off and I said, oh my goodness, what is this? So I went and I tried to turn on switches and I said, what is going on here? And I was by myself, living by myself at that point. Then I went to see where the caretaker of the apartment, what is going on? And he says, oh, madam, lights are off. You have maybe get a candle or something like that. And I said, what do you mean? What's going on with the lights? Listen, I did not understand that when I rented this apartment, there was no generator included. And in order for the lights to power on, you need a generator. And there was no generator. So for the first 5 years, I just got, in a sense, I started to appreciate moonlight. I learned to appreciate, sitting on my terrace with candles and how beautiful and peaceful and to connect with nature. But prior to that, I really was stressed out about it. So I think, this kind of experience of not being around the comforts that we have often in America, right? Which are very superficial comforts, by the way. When they're taken away from you, something changes within you. You become more patient, you become more tolerant, you become more sensitive to the way the majority of the world's people live. And I think that's part of the experience of being abroad. And I experienced that in Brazil too, when I lived in Brazil, and I've experienced it even, in a Western setting when I lived in Spain. It wasn't always perfect, right? In America, I think we tend to get a bit spoiled with these things. So I've always told students, I'm sure I told you when you were on the program, and I certainly tell students here in Ghana, you have to put those Western sort of ideologies, and preferences and customs on the back burner. Literally, like, leave them and be open to a very new experience with patience and an open heart and an open mind. I always say, for anyone who wants to relocate or even spend a month or less in Ghana, if you're not patient, I'm not so sure you'll love the place, because you have to become equipped or be equipped with that patience. Patience is a virtue, isn't it? Well, it's one I didn't have before living here, okay? And it backfired for me in work settings often with my Ghanaian colleagues who would look at me like, she could just go back to the United States, and I had to learn to calm down and be patient.
Krista, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things I had to learn is calm down. Like things don't work like how you want them to work all the time, and that's okay. Like people have their own way of doing things, and you just got to be
Yes.
comfortable with that. Now, I want to flip the script a little bit because I know one of the biggest questions I get when people talk about moving to Africa is like safety.
Oh, yes.
And you moved as a single woman alone.
Yes, I did.
To a major African city. Like I'm not even gonna say a major West African city. Like Accra is a major powerhouse within the continent.
Yes. Yes.
And I'd just like you to speak a little bit because one of the big things people are always in my like DMs or in my inbox about is like, Jackie, how am I gonna be safe? Like there's so much crap. And I'm like, one, like, have we seen the statistics in the United States? But
right. Right. Let me just say I've never felt safer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I've lived in Europe too, and you know that. I mean, we talked about Spain. I've also lived in Germany. I've lived in Brazil. And all of those countries, I was very conscious of locking my door at night. I mean, this is not something I'm going to advocate for anyone moving here, but I can tell you I've often slept with my door unlocked.
Don't do that,
no. It's not something I advise, but remember, I am now, I've got my husband, I have security. We have a security company at the house, but it's a very safe place. I would say that it doesn't mean that we don't have petty theft. So petty theft is focused on stealing things like mobile phones or computers. There's a large underground market for those type of things. But when you talk about what we're dealing with in the US, gun violence, you got to watch your back every 5 minutes. You have to be concerned about the cops, everything that we're seeing about police brutality and the whole Black Lives Matters movement. Here, there's a t-shirt I have that I just bought following the tragic murder of George Floyd. And it states, Ghana breathes freedom. And when I saw that shirt, I just exhaled because that's so true. Now, again, I'm not saying that we don't have any safety issues or concerns. You definitely don't want to go down a dark corner in the middle of the city that is highly populated because the lights are off. Okay, somebody could maybe try to take a phone or something like that. It happens, and it happens all over the world. But when I look and I evaluate everywhere I've lived, and I mentioned the countries I've lived, this by far is the safest. And particularly because we don't have this gun violence. Like our security guards here, I'm in the office. I'm here at Webster University today. Security guards here are not even allowed to carry weapons, and they're security guards. When I say weapons, I mean they're not allowed to be armed with guns. There are laws against that in the country. So that should sort of tell your audience what kind of country it is. Very safe, very secure. Ghanaians are very friendly. Jackie, I know you, having a background as a Nigerian, may not agree with me, but it's considered to be the friendliest country in West Africa.
As long as you don't talk about the jollof, I'm like, okay. Like, the best
jollof is definitely the best. Forget about Nigerian jollof. These are the jollof wars, right? No, it's very safe and very secure. You have to definitely, like I've always told students when I've done orientations for study abroad, like with NYU, and even here, because we have study abroad students from US who come to the Webster campus as well. I mean, you definitely should still keep your New York City, LA, Pittsburgh smarts about you. You don't want to walk out assuming that it's all palm trees and, it's, that type of life either. It's a major city in the world, but it's definitely, you're not watching your back every 5 minutes. Definitely not.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people out there who need to hear that because they just hear Africa, not even Ghana, and they always think the worst, right? And it's so much of like getting your mind ready to move abroad is changing your mindset.
Oh, your mindset, yes. It has to be an automatic click, or I'll never forget when I was working and study abroad at NYU, we would have parents who would say, but I mean, isn't there some major conflict? And we'd say, no, that's South Sudan. Yeah. I mean, it's right near you. No, we're looking at 54 nations. And no. Ghana is very, very safe.
So,
And
Christa, I
politically
can't have a
stable.
conversation with you without
Yeah.
talking about like the fashion, your fashion, and then the fashion of West Africa. Because for those of you all listening, like, let me just tell you, there's not like a fashionable store you can go into in Accra and they not know Madam Christa, okay? Because, like, hands down, I don't know if there's like a socialite magazine, but she is best dressed. Okay.
You are funny. Oh my goodness, you're complimenting me so much today. Even, do you know what we have right now? You'll like this. This is a promotion for my university.
Oh, I want one. She has a Webster University in Mass. Oh my God.
Yes, and we also have them in African print.
But like Krista, like you have to admit, like West African women, which I consider you one of, like they can dress.
Yes. Oh yes, I mean you don't go out with any American style. I call it the Old Navy style of, and I like Old Navy. Don't get me wrong. In case any Old Navy folks are listening, but no, the sweatpants, the jeans, the kind of relaxed kind of thing. No. We really dress in West Africa, and I feel that's very much. It shows who we are as a people today. How we always say Black folk go to church and we dress. Well, where did it come from? It came from here because people here could outdo us in the States. Yes, how you put yourself together is very, very important. I always tell students who've come when they want to do an internship, for example, or entering workplace for the first time, you need to put yourself together appropriately. And you should be observing what you see the Ghanaian women do, or the Nigerian women, or the Burkinabe, or the Ivorians. I mean, throughout West Africa and throughout the African continent in general, dressing is very important. And I think it's wonderful that we see now in the world, especially in the US, a lot of the celebrities, Beyonce and others, who are sporting the African prints, right? And this is the time for these prints. I mean, they're beautiful. Jackie and I have spent a lot of time in different shops. I don't want to embarrass her, but she has a whole nice collection from a number of designers, including the one I'm wearing today, Red Cotton. And we've had, during the year of return, they had the full circle with the celebrities coming from the US. Essence took over the full circle, and I mean, all of them were just going wild for these African prints. So, yeah, they're gorgeous. They're gorgeous.
And Krista, you know what? One thing that used to always bring like a little tear to my eye when I was living in like West Africa was the fact that you would see somebody like a janitor in his fresh pressed outfit, and just the pride that they would have, and just wear and it was just like, it's hot, it's sweaty, the shoes everywhere, but like there's so much pride and integrity in like how you look.
Exactly. And you could have someone who literally comes from a very challenged background, not having come from great means, let's just say that. But yet, if you see them in church, they look like $1 million. You see them at the mosque, wow, they are Dangote. I mean, right? Yeah, so we take great pride in putting ourselves together. And I think there's also a great business and investment opportunity in African prints. And you see that people around the world are doing that as well. Investing in the cloth, investing in the textiles, the beautiful kente, for example, comes from Ghana. I think most of us know that. For those who are lovers of art, I mean, this place is a dream. I feel like my house, not to boast again, but I feel like it's become like a little museum of African art, because I collected so many pieces from across the continent. There's so much beauty here, so much talent, raw talent, literally, some of it undiscovered, much of it undiscovered. So there's a lot that you can see and experience and also feel, I think, being in this part of the world.
Now, I also, Krista, just want to touch a little bit like on the diversity of Ghana, because I also feel like us sitting in America or African Americans, when they think about West Africans, they kind of lump them all together, right? Like,
Oh
and there
no.
are similarities between us, right? Even God, but like when I think about like Nigerians, the diversity within
Oh
like,
no, so much diversity.
and I feel like the same is true. It's so funny because when I sit and like talk to Ghana, they're like, "Where have you been in Ghana?" You know, I talk about like Accra, like Kumasi,
Yeah,
and oh, like, but have you gone farther north? Because that's completely different. And
exactly.
yeah, and
Yeah,
it's like,
the diversity is just out of this world, and also not just in terms of ethnic groups, right? But also in terms of languages.
mhm,
So here we have over 75 languages and dialects spoken. Although, as most of you may be aware, Ghana was colonized by the British, but it was the first country to be free of European rule for the African continent, March 6, 1957, right? So while English was sort of imposed on Ghana and Nigeria, Liberia, etc., these Anglophone countries, and then we have all the Francophone ones that where the French was imposed. I mean, look at the diversity of languages and groups of people. Like Accra, it's like a melting pot. So you have people from all over the country coming to Accra for greener pastures, if you will, work opportunities, also Kumasi and Takrady, where they've found oil. When Obama, President Obama, former President Obama, well, he's still my president.
yep, exactly. So,
President Obama came here. Yes. So it's so diverse. And then you have a large expat population. You have a growing diaspora population. So it's really a beautiful, eclectic mix of people from everywhere. So no, we can't lump folks in one pot, so to speak. We just can't do that because the diversity is extreme. My husband, for example, comes from the northern part of Ghana, which is close to Burkina Faso, and his traditions, language is completely different from what you would see in the South. Really different. We here at Webster, we're reading right now Ya Jisi's book, Homegoing,
yes.
which I highly recommend for anyone who wants to come to Ghana. I mean, it is a book written for the diaspora for sure, and for all people. It's a beautiful story looking at slavery, what happened, and then our journey to the Americas and what happened to our people. And in this book, in this novel, you hear and see, you can visualize the different ethnic groups, the traditions, the customs, and what happened here
Mhm.
on the continent. So it's very, very rich, very rich.
And thank you for giving that book suggestion. I am going to put the link in the comments box for those of you guys who are watching this, and I'll try to put it in the description in the podcast as well. So I got a
Okay.
few more questions before we wrap up, because this has been, I mean, I'm sure everyone who's listened is going to be like gems, like Krista's just spitting out gems. But like you're also you're a mother.
Yes, I am.
You have
Yes.
a beautiful daughter. And
Thank
I
you.
know that there are a lot of mothers, both like single mothers like myself or like married mothers like you, who are interested in moving to Ghana with their children. And
Yes,
like, is Ghana child friendly? People have so many questions
very
about
much so.
child in Ghana. So
Very much so. Ghanaians love children. And, one of the things you have to let go of, and I think in the US, we're very uptight in particular about this, obviously, for obvious reasons. You wouldn't let a stranger just come up and, pick up your child or anything. But here you got to give that up because it's like the village is taking on the child, right? The child is being raised by the village, by the community. And we have that communal spirit, which exists all over the African continent. So I'd say there's a definite love of children that you can feel in every aspect of society. Also, in terms of getting help.
mhm.
I mean, Jackie, I applaud you, but I've gotten spoiled over here. I've been able to, have a nanny, and almost everyone, it doesn't even matter. You don't have to be in a job like mine. It's affordable to have someone come and help you. And it was hard for me when I first came to Ghana to employ people. I felt like, oh, I'm being colonial. I don't want to ask someone to be washing my thing. I mean, this just doesn't feel or seem right. Nothing about it seems right until I realized that we have a huge informal sector, right, in our economy, and that people really need jobs. So you have to look at it differently. So as a result, I have someone who actually lives with us, and she's a live-in nanny, and she is part of our family, and she's helping us all the time, so that you also have the opportunity to be able to live a bit of life too. Obviously, when we have our children, that is our focus. But in order for me to do the job that I'm doing, you see that I'm in the office right now. And what time is it, Jackie? Okay, it's past 6 p.m. here. I mean, I couldn't do this job if I didn't have Katrin available to help and be part of our family. So I think getting those kind of supportive, as having that kind of support is very important. We also have great schools in Ghana, and that would be a concern of any parent. We have top-notch international schools. Let's not forget that the former head of the UN was Kofi Annan. So you understand the products that come out of this country, right? Great minds have come out of Ghana who schooled in Ghana. So we have, you know, Kwame Nkrumah, you know, the first president who, can I tell your audience, incidentally was in school with my grandmother at University of Pennsylvania, and he was taught by my great uncles at Lincoln, because he attended an HBCU before going to Penn and then returning to Ghana to be the first president. Yes. So, you know, and there's a natural connection. So we have American schools here, right? With the American curriculum, we have British curriculum, we have French, we have, I mean, we have so much. So there are many opportunities. There's a growing number of parks and recreational activities, not as many as we have in the US. But I always say that my daughter has learned appreciation for nature, going to the beach on weekends, going into forest areas, connecting with nature, with people, understanding the importance of slowing down. I often see in the US, kids are kind of addicted to what? These all the time. Not to say that my daughter and children here are not, but I mean, it's a fraction of what you would see in the US because they're forced to connect with communities and people, and they don't have always all these material things around them. And I think you wanna make sure that you're instilling those values early, and Ghana is a beautiful place to raise a child.
But I gotta just interject for a second, because I gotta let my audience know, like, I follow Christa on all her social media. I'm gonna put her on blast again. But like, one of the beautiful things about her and her relationship with her daughter is she too is taking her daughter all over the world. Like, you'll just see the amazing pictures. Like, all right, they're hanging out in South Africa right now. Like, she brings her daughter back to like the US to like experience, like she's taking her daughter to Spelman a couple times, right?
Yeah, she's been to Spelman, and she says, the other day I woke up, I don't know if you saw this post, I posted her in a Spelman t-shirt. I woke up, she says, Mommy, close your eyes, close your eyes. She ran in and she says, open your eyes, Spelman. She knows about colleges and institutions in the US. Yes, she's been able to travel a lot. I was looking at the girl's passport the other day, and I realized she's already been to about 10 or more countries, and she's 8. Yeah. And I said to her, you have to keep quiet when you're in the US, because one time she was around her cousins and she said something like this. So Mommy, where are we going next summer? Are we going to Mauritius, or are we going to go back to India? Or no, Mommy, I liked Paris. That was really fun when we went for the school break. And I said, oh my God, what have I created? What have we created? But you know, she is growing up in an interconnected world, right? And she goes to an international school where the children, these are their experiences. She also has a great breadth of knowledge, obviously, about Ghana, which she's learning about in school, and the great contributions of Black people to the world. She told me the other day, Mommy, where's my Black Lives Matters shirt? I wanna know, I love Black Lives Matters. I mean, she's young to understand the concept, but I feel that because she's in school and she mostly sees children and teachers and principals that look like herself. She's very confident, very, very confident. She doesn't have to think about this just yet because she's in an African setting.
Yes.
And there's something to be said for that. So it's been a great experience raising her.
She also has you as her mother, so that's also confident. Let's not forget about that.
Oh, wow. Wow. I'm looking forward to her and Ruth meeting one day. Those two are going to hit it off.
They're going to be running the world. They're going to be running the world. Look.
Yes, they will be. They will be, for sure. Yes.
So, no, it's been just so exciting just listening to you, and I'm sure my audience is connected on multiple like points that you've made, because you made it like digestible, right? Like people, when they think of moving abroad, when they think of what it's going to be like, it's a scary proposition for a lot of people. They don't know what to expect. And also because for some people it's so new, so they only, if they know of anybody who's moved abroad, they've only been there for a year or 2 years. You got over 20 years in the game in terms of living all over this planet and thriving and doing the most and making a career for yourself, making a life for yourself, getting married, like, which people are like, is that possible for me? And I think that's the beautiful thing about the thing that I enjoy most about doing these vlogs / podcasts is that I get to present my audience some amazing women who like I admire and I respect. And
we admire you. We admire you. I hope your audience takes notes with you. You're doing fantastic things, and I appreciate that you are presenting to your audience different women that you know or you've encountered down this journey of life who've had somewhat of an impact and are doing different and unique things in different corners of the world. I think that that is just wonderful. And I encourage everyone that living life abroad is a really unique one. It's very purposeful. I feel like I'm contributing to society, in this case through education, but it's really been an amazing experience. It's even hard for me to imagine living back in the United States. And look, I'm thinking about all of you, my people, you know, over in America right now. These are tough times. I'm praying for change, systematic change, and I believe it will happen in time, you know. But we also deserve to have an opportunity to breathe and to exhale. So whether you can come, relocate, or even if you can only come for a period of time, I think it's good to get outside of your comfort zone or even out of all the challenges that are happening right now in the world and be able to experience something new. I really, really think that it's life-changing, it's transformative. It has been for me. It's broadened my perspective, my worldview. Yeah. I don't know what more I can say. You know, I could talk to you for hours and hours. You make it so easy, right? And see, you know how she made it easy? Because she didn't tell me it was live. So you've gotten the essential, quintessential Christa, unedited, because I could really do this comfortably. And I appreciate you opening this door and this opportunity to share a little bit about my experience with your audience. Any of them who want to come to Ghana, please feel free to reach out to me. And also, I told you that Johnette and I, my Spelman sister and my sister, we've both traveled a lot. She's based in Rwanda. And so we have, if you go on Facebook, we just started developing Black Women Abroad. That is the site. It's on Facebook, and just in the beginning, Black Women Abroad. I mean, it's in its early stages, but we have some big projects that we're working on. I haven't even been able to share so much with you, Jackie, but we are. And she's also a great example. Hopefully you can get her on.
I would love to get her on, especially with the Rwanda perspective, because that's another place lots of people are thinking about.
Absolutely. So, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Christa.
You are welcome. You are welcome.
You've helped. You have no idea how many people you're going to be helping with the information that you've been able to provide today. So I thank you for that. You know, for 20 years, you have been 20 plus years now. You have definitely been a role model for me. You had an impact on my life when I was a teeny weeny youngster. And I still look at you. I don't get to talk to you because I'm not in West Africa, so I don't get to talk to you as much.
I know.
I still follow you on social, and like
Oh,
every time I see a post, like now she's doing her 10 days of motherhood post.
I know.
So inspired. Like it makes me so happy, and I love the fact that I named the show Black Women Doing the Most. And when I see your post, I'm like, man, Christa's doing it all. She's a very well-respected and established professional. She's a wonderful like mother. She's a wonderful wife, but she also has her own life. Like you do trips on your own, you do girlfriend trips, like you just
Yes. The one Jeanette and I just did.
Yeah.
And Verde in Morocco. Yep.
That is so like inspiring because like you aren't locking yourself into just one identity.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And one last thing I would add, we didn't talk about it, but my passion, I think I shared is art and jewelry. And so I have a jewelry line. Now, unfortunately, see, this is one of the pieces right now. So we have some of the pieces, but it's called the Unknown Collection. The only thing is, Jackie, since I took on this job, I've had to put it sort of on the back burner. But when I started it back in 2006, I was very, very honored to have had this collection in the Studio Museum in Harlem, in New York. That's where it was initially showcased. And these are very distinct pieces. I have artists I've worked with around the world, artisans. Sometimes in my travels, I go into markets, I meet people, see beautiful jewelry in Ethiopia and South Africa, all over the place, and then work with these designers on design concepts, putting beads from Mali aside, crosses from Ethiopia, and so on and so forth. So I hope at some point when the job and the university has more enrollment, that's what I'm currently working on at this stage, that I'll go back to being able to do that jewelry business a little bit more. So like you said, there's so many things that you can do. You're constantly reinventing yourself. We're all in life reinventing ourselves. And particularly when you are abroad, you have more freedom, I believe, to do that. So I hope to go back to that in the future.
And we can't wait till your jewelry girl, because you are like super duper fly. All right, Oscar, we out. I'm going to stop recording. I'm going to chat it up with Christa a little bit. And you guys have an amazing day. Thanks for checking it out. Remember, you are magical and your life should be.
Hey, Black girl. Hey, you good? Because I'm fabulous. I'm a digital nomad, and my lifestyle allows my daughter and I to experience new places, culture, foods, and people. Living abroad and or traveling full-time is amazing. It is freedom. I can work from anywhere. I want more Black women to experience the same sort of freedom. I help Black women manifest their dreams of a life abroad or a full-time travel. Are you ready for a life beyond your wildest dreams?